Hey everyone, Cody Hayes here, and I'd like to welcome you to part 2 as we are looking at bioethics. In this case, the controversial issue regarding abortion. And this is where we left off. We left off with some of the arguments that are made in favor of the practice of abortion. Whether that be therapeutic, issues relating to the life and health of the pregnant woman, or eugenic, such as it's shown, on an ultrasound that the unborn child has some type of fetal abnormality, and does our world function as though people had those fetal abnormalities, and looks at the issue of dignity and whatnot. And then humanitarian issues such as that the woman was raped or involved in incest relations and becomes pregnant, and should that pregnancy be allowed to continue with all the other trauma that's happened prior to this. So a couple other arguments made in favor of abortion before getting into the arguments that are made against the practice of abortion. Another one is socioeconomic. Well, socioeconomic issues would be situations such as, poverty, social stigma, family size. Essentially, with socioeconomic, we're looking into issues relating to society and money. And of course, it costs lots of money to, raise those children to at least the age of 18, if not further on past that age. And if that money's not there, is this a situation where having an abortion maybe should take place? And then there's, stigma. Someone, becomes pregnant, and what would be the repercussions for that taking place? Questions like that would say, okay, this is a situation where maybe an abortion is the best path to take. Then, one last one is personal reasons. Personal reasons can relate to issues not previously discussed, but some might be a woman's desire to advance her career and not be burdened by a pregnancy. Of course, we're going to get into the arguments made against abortion, but I would say that this one that's made in favor is perhaps one that gets criticized more than others. I mean, some of the other arguments, an individual can say, all right, I understand, because I'll say that even within, the camp that would identify as pro-life, many of them would still agree to an abortion taking place in some of the situations that have been made previously, the arguments made in favor. Some would agree to that, but this one, the personal reasons, is usually where they often, draw a line, say no. And even those that would identify as pro-choice, this is one that often, perhaps would make them say that's not, acceptable. A woman's desire to advance her own career, not be burdened by a pregnancy. That's, many would argue, against that. But at the same time, I mean, maybe the woman is not ready to become a mother for whatever reason, or is not fit to become a mother for whatever reasons. Well, with that being said, let's turn to some of the arguments that are made against abortion. Well, one being is that if an unborn child has direct moral standing, would an abortion be the equivalent of murder? Direct moral standing, of course, is declaring the unborn child to be a person. So if the unborn child is a person and that child is aborted intentionally, would that be the equivalent of murder? Another argument made against abortion is that if the unborn child has indirect moral standing, then would an abortion be taking away the unborn child's potential to become a person? So, indirect moral standing states that the unborn child is not a person, but it has a kinship or a relationship with those who are. So, by intentionally aborting the child, would you then be taking away that unborn child's chance to become a person? Another argument made against abortion would be who is to determine the quality of life. Because this particular argument is really, I think, against, the eugenic case, where I mentioned how an argument made in favor of abortion, issues relating to eugenics, such as, someone having a fetal abnormality, and it's shown, on an ultrasound that they are going to be born with this abnormality, and so they should be aborted. Well, you're making a case for, you could say, dignity, but what about, the other side here? Who is to determine what really is, quality of life? It's true, to be fair, that life is, of course, more than its biological definition. I don't think anyone would disagree with that. But, where is the standard of quality, per se? Another argument made against abortion is that the potential life of the unborn child comes before the life of his or her mother. There are a lot of things that could be said on this particular argument, in this case against abortion, but the point that essentially is being made is that the life of the unborn child comes before the life of his or her mother. Now, where of course this can be controversial is continuing with the pregnancy where the mother would die, an issue. Those that would have a very strong pro-life stance would say yes. And even some within that pro-life camp would say, well, that might be a bit of controversial there, but certainly they would say that the potential life of the unborn child comes before the life of his or her mother, focusing on, say, the personal reasons. Many would agree there. And one more argument made against abortion. If an individual or couple is unable to care for the, unborn child due to a number of particular circumstances, another individual or couple is potentially willing to take care of the unborn child once he or she is born. And let me have a quick sip of water, and I'll focus on this particular point. Essentially, what is being referred to here, of course, basically is adoption. That, if someone is unable to take care of, a child due to any number of circumstances, somebody else will come in and take care of that child. But I have to say that, when this has been brought up before, I have been told that this is in many respects a romantic view of the situation. And what I mean by that is you have a couple, for example, that's unable to have a child for whatever circumstance there may be, and so you have then another couple or individual who gives birth but can't take care of the child, sets the child up for adoption, and then this couple comes in and adopts that child. But yet I've been told that's not what often happens. That what often happens is that the child ends up in the foster system. But in any case, that is all with this particular lecture on, bioethics, in this case the topic of abortion. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to send me a message in the Q&A forum or send me an email. Till then, take care.